some tragic thing happened in my family many years ago to our son, and this is our young son, and I'm thinking up until then, we'd never experienced anything like this where he had to be hospitalized and surgery and in the NICU and everything. That just seemed like an eternity. But what I learned from there was compassion.
Oh,
and I don't think I would have learned compassion any other way.
Now, do you think God caused that to happen with your son or allowed it?
Well, if you're a Calvinist, then it's more
I'm
stronger.
I'm asking Dr. Edwards this question.
Yeah, I would say that with him still being absolved of any evil, that he would cause it.
Cause it,
but he would cause it, being exempt from the charge of evil.
Now,
so that's a mystery for me. That's more of a mystery.
Listen, we need to have a whole show on that. I'd be up for having a show. Let me read to you a quote that I think really brings common grace into a practical illustration. So you mentioned that I have a black belt in Kung Fu.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Yes.
And in it, there was one of their top fighters, Matt Hughes, who's now been inducted into the Hall of Fame, was hit by a train. He came up to a train crossing that was not properly identified and got hit by a train. It took him years to recover. But this is what he said that I think is a beautiful expression of what I'm trying to get across as common grace. Yeah. He said this: I am beyond grateful for every physician, doctor, nurse, therapist, coach, first responder, family member, friend, etc., who worked with me over the past 3 years. I thank God for guiding their hands in their decisions. What a beautiful expression of common grace. Mm-hmm. Could God have just healed him automatically? No, well, yes, of course. But he used therapists and nurses and doctors and the kindness of others to help Matt Hughes. And I think that is how God operates. That's how he works, is I know you're going to need penicillin. I know you're going to need antibiotics. So let's discover this together. Now, he needs a dance partner to do that, Harry. So there are times he wants to move quicker, but we can't because we're not good dance partners. We're in rebellion. Sometimes we resist his leading, his prodding. So I do think God wants to move quicker in certain things. And because of our rebellion, we're not optimizing our capabilities.
Yeah. Well, in your book, you even said sometimes there are demonic forces that get in the way.
Totally.
That we need to acknowledge that.
Think about what John says. The whole world lies in the power of the evil one.
Yeah.
So God, again, one day God will banish Satan, and the world will be reclaimed, Revelation 21. But that time is not yet. We're in the not yet period, that interim period, and God is working with us to defeat evil, but he's using us to do it.
I love in your book how you just put in plain words some of the items under common grace: inventions, tools, fire, art, shoes, discoveries. Like you said, penicillin.
I read a book on the history of medical discoveries, and the man who wrote this book said penicillin is the biggest oops moment in the history of humanity, which is one option.
Right.
It could be the serendipitous moment.
Right.
But I'm making the argument that if penicillin is a good thing, then we already know that it comes down from the Father of Lights, what James is saying. So here's the beauty of talking to your non-Christian friends using penicillin as a test case is no doubt your friend's going to say, oh, come on, you're telling me that was God?
Yeah.
And I'm saying, yes, and let me give you some reasons for that. And in the book, I lay out some possibilities of the world discovering things at roughly the same time that either could be a serendipitous moment or it's God leading us and humanity in that direction. That is to provoke a great conversation that will lead to me saying, okay, so let me give you some reasons why I think God exists. Because if he doesn't exist, then he's not leading anybody. Let me give you the top 2 or 3 reasons I think there actually is a God. Now we're doing classic apologetics, which for me is the argument from design that has always spoken very deeply to me. So I love to use pop culture to get to the argument of design, which is the book, The God Conversation, written with J.P. Moreland.
Yeah.